I'm heading into Adrian Ghenie's new show at Pace Gallery in New York City called The Brave New World. And this new body of work examines the constantly evolving relationship between the human body and technology. And I always just really love Adrian's like super bold brushwork, his like really painterly, abstract sort of approach, and then the contrast of the sharper edges really like enhance the sort of organic quality of a lot of these gestural strokes. I like that little Trump reference there. These are pretty big paintings. The last one there was called The Hotel Room and is 82 inches tall by 70 inches wide. And the next one here is just a little bit smaller. I really like the way he's kind of playing with like abstraction. I like the kind of texture, of all the different strokes, the kind of scraping and then looser kind of gestural strokes. To read a bit from the press release, it says that he's shuttling between abstraction and figuration. Ghenie conjures the banality of the current moment. Fugitive figures haunt his compositions, clutching their phones in their hands, pressing devices to their faces, or hunching over glowing screens. And this next huge painting called The Spanish Room, which is 94 inches by 82 inches, is a perfect example of that with, the figures with their phones in their hands. I like the art references in the background, with the painting hanging on the wall. And I love the pattern of the wallpaper and the way he's just sort of suggesting it with just these little flicks of the brush, but it's actually so accurate, and it's so beautiful. Some of the strokes, just the sort of frantic quality to some of the strokes reminds me of Francis Bacon or something. And the kind of scribble of sort of chaos that's the figure is balanced so nicely with this straight, sharp sort of concrete shapes of the of the walls and the sort of structures surrounding them, which is actually a bit like Bacon too when I think about it. And then in this painting, again, with the sort of scribbly chaos of organic qualities of the human, it is contrasted by the kind of sharp structure of the phone. I don't know, it almost makes me think of things that box us in. And then moving into the second room, there's a couple series of paintings that are kind of hung as diptychs. This one, I think he's just doing such a good job of capturing the kind of just how sucked in we can get on our phones, and just how sort of soul sucking it can almost feel like. And I like the way these are hung as diptychs. They they're pretty disturbing. It's neat how then there's these lines of light or things coming out of us, but then this dripping it does remind me of the Francis Bacon dead meat sort of series. Humans kind of as meat or something. I almost get a slight Otto Dix or Philip Guston sort of influence to some of these portraits. This is another really large one. I like it when artists kind of are referencing something that's happening in the world. And this one's definitely referencing the art vandalisms that are happening in museums, in protest of oil. And of course, artists and, anyone in the art world is so sort of traumatized by seeing these fragile works of art, potentially damaged. This one has the image of Van Gogh's sunflowers at the National Gallery in London. For some reason, I really love the way these two paintings look next to each other. I'm really enjoying the large patches of color, the big sort of swash of red and blue and green. And I like figurative work, so I like seeing a suggestion of figure, within the abstraction. I love the black sort of background and some lines coming through it, and that kind of silhouetted shape of the yellow. I just think it is such beautiful abstract work. And this next large painting is another reference to the art vandalisms. This one I think is of the Monet, one of the Monet paintings that got vandalized. And just the scribble of flurry of figures. I like the light beam emanating from the painting, it's it's a deity. It's interesting to see his sketches here that correspond with some of the paintings, in the show. Just seeing how he kind of like works out his ideas. It's very interesting to see, you know, him sort of developing the shapes and the sort of structures, because when I see the paintings just as themselves, I imagine that he's just going at it, on the canvas. So it's neat to see his studies as well. So that's Adrian Ghenie's The Brave New World at Pace Gallery in New York City.